Okay, so right here, we're asked to use the Gaussian elimination method to find all solution to this given system. And we want to make sure to include all of our work, show the matrix that was used, and include any row operation that we did to lead to our next step. So that is if we multiplied, I don't know, row 5 by 3 and added it to 8 times row 4 and put it in the place of row 5, we want to indicate that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this system first and put it into our augmented matrix, meaning let's turn that into a matrix. So here's my equal sign right here, that vertical line. And then remember all of our leading coefficients or entries into this matrix. So we have 3 that corresponds with this 3, -6 for this -6y, +6. And then here is the equal sign, and then -5 on the other side. All right, so we continue this pattern on and fill out the rest of this matrix. 7/3 here. We have 1, 1, 10, and 3. Okay, now from here, then we want to go ahead and get our matrix reduced down to where I have 1s in the diagonal and 0s everywhere else. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get 1 in that first column, first row entry. I can do that by multiplying this whole row by a 1/3, or I can notice that row 3 already has a 1 in the first column. So why don't I just switch the spot of these two, and then I will have my 1 where I want it to be. So we can go ahead and switch our spots, switch the spots of row 1 with row 3. Nothing happens to row 2, so that's the first thing I'm going to copy down. But instead of row 1, I want to write row 3 where row 1 is. So 1, 1, 10, 3, and then put row 1 where row 3 is. So 3, -6, 6, and -5. Okay, and why did I do that? Because I wanted that 1 in the row 1, column 1 entry. And by switching the 2 rows, it doesn't change my overall matrix, but it makes it easy for me to deal with that because I don't have to do any work. I get that 1. Okay, now, next thing I want to do, so we always want to make our 1s first, and then make everything in that same column 0. So the -2 and the 3, I want to make those 0s. Okay, so notice since I already have the 1 I needed on row 1, nothing is going to change in row 1. So that's the first thing I'm going to copy down. Now in order to get a 0 here, I want to use row 1. So I want to use that 1 that I made and manipulate it somehow to get 0 here. Well, I can multiply 1 by a +2 and add it to a -2 to get a 0. So we want to multiply row 1 by a +2, so 2 times row 1, add it to row 2, and put it where row 2 is. So let's go ahead and do that. So I have 2 times 1 is 2, plus -2 gives me 0. 2 times 1 is 2, plus +3, I get 5. 2 times 10 is 20, plus -5 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I gotta add that 6 to 7/3. So maybe we should do some little side work over here. So anytime you're adding fractions, you want a common denominator of 3 will work. So write 6 as 18 over 3 plus 7 over 3, get 25 over 3. Now for our next row, we want to get rid of this 3. We want to make that a 0 using the 1. So if I multiply 1 by -3 and add it here, that will take care of that. So here we have -3 times row 1 plus row 3, put it where row 3 is. Okay, now 1 times -3 is -3 plus 3 gives me 0. 1 times -3 is -3 plus a -6, I get -9. 1 times, or 3, -3 times 10 is -30. Added to the 6 to get -24. -9 minus 5 gives me -14. Oh, let me change that page really quick. Okay, so let's add a blank page here. All right, so now I have my first column done. I move on to the next one. So I want a 1 here. And then once I get this 1, then I'm going to use that and change these 2 entries to zeros. So for this first step, nothing will be happening to rows 1 and 3. Just copy those the way they are. -24 and -14. But row 2, I want to make this 5 a 1, and I can do that by multiplying it by 1 over 5. So 1 over 5 times row 2 goes into row 2. So 0 here. 1 over 5 times 5 gives me that 1 I wanted. 15 over 5 reduces to 3. And then 25 over 5, 25 thirds times 1 over 5. We can do some side work over here. So we have 25 over 3 times 1 over 5. I can take out a 5 here, left with 5 thirds. Okay, now I have the 1. I'm going to use this 1 to make this 1 and this -9 zeros. So nothing will be happening in row 2 here. Copy row 2 down. 0, 1, 3, 5. Using that 1 to make this 1 0, I can multiply it by -1 and add it. So -1 times row 2 plus row 1 goes into row 1. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. 0 times -1 is 0 plus 1, 1. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 1. That gives me the 0 I wanted. -1 times 3 gives me -3 plus 10, 7. Then I have -5 over 3 here plus 3, which is 9 over 3 to give me positive 4 over 3. Okay, now let's use that 1 and make that 9 a 0. So, or the -9 a 0. So multiply row 1 by 9, add it to row 3, put it where row 3 needs to go. Okay, so 0 times 9 is 0 plus 0, that's 0. 9 times 1 is 9 plus -9, that's 0. 9 times 3 gives me 27. plus negative 24 gives me positive 3. And then from there, we have 9 times 5 over 3. So 45 over 3. And I want to add that to negative 14, so minus 14. Let's change 14 to something in terms of 3. That's 42. 3. And then notice here I get 3 over 3. Cool, which is 1. Okay, now moving on. So first column was done, second column is done. Now I continue with that diagonal pattern. I want that 3 here to be 1 and then zeros here. So for my next step, nothing is happening to rows 1 and 2. Let's copy rows 1 and 2 the way they are. 0, 1, 3, 4 thirds, 5 thirds. But row 3, I want to multiply by a 1/3. And I will be getting, so 0 times 1/3 is 0. 0, 1/3 times 3 gives me that 1 I wanted, and 1/3 here. Okay, now from here, let's use this 1, make the 3 and the 7 zeros. So for this step, nothing will be happening to row 3, copy row 3. To make this 3 a 0, I want to multiply the 1 I made by a negative 3 and then add it. So negative 3 times row 3 plus row 2. So 0 times negative 3 is 0 plus 0, that's 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0 plus 1, that's my 1. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3 plus that 3 is 0. Let me make this smaller so we can fit stuff in there. So that's 1/3. Okay. So 1/3 times negative 3, that gives me negative 1. And then I add that negative 1 by 5 thirds. Or we can just write it as negative 3 over 3 plus 5 thirds. And that gives me 2 thirds. Okay, now let's turn the 7 into a 0. So how do I do that? Multiply by a negative 7 on row 3, add it to row 1, put it in row 1. So 0 times negative 7 is 0 plus 1, that gives me 1. 0 times negative 7 is 0 plus 0, that's 0. 1 times negative 7 is negative 7 plus 7, 0. Let's do some work over here. So we have negative 7 thirds plus 4 thirds. Simplify that down, we get negative 3 over 3, so negative 1. All right. Let me move up. So reading my matrix then, the X spot is negative 1. So this is telling me X equals negative 1. Y spot 2 thirds. And then the Z spot is a 1 over 3.